we are talking about minor subdivisions. We're not talking about a community and HOA. We're talking about splitting rural America, 50 acres into 10 5-acre lots, 5 10-acre lots, something like that.
You want to just make sure the whole thing makes sense on paper. They need to all have road frontage. You don't want them all to be very sloped. Like, you don't want one parcel to be an awful parcel.
This is not an entitlement, guys. This is not a major subdivide where you're putting in roads, like you're talking to fire departments, you're making sure the road, like, it is not that complicated. Any person listening to this, watching this, can do a subdivide.
Welcome back to the episode, everyone. Excited to get into this episode. We're going over the 5 steps to getting your first getting a subdivide, not your first subdivide. But I'm excited for this one because we're going to dive in, and these are going to be actionable steps we're talking about. We're going to try to dumb it down as much as possible and not make it overly complicated so everyone listening or viewing this can really go home and start taking action.
Yeah, subdividing, there's just so much opportunity in subdividing, and there's not a huge barrier skill-wise, education-wise. Do you need to know something about land? Absolutely. And before we get started, guys, we are talking about minor subdivisions. We're not talking about a community and HOA subdivision with little quarter-acre houses or lots. We're talking about splitting rural America, 50 acres into 10 5-acre lots, 5 10-acre lots, something like that, where it's called a minor subdivide, essentially. I just want to define that before we got into it.
Yeah.
But this is whether you've done a land flip, no land flips. Subdividing is something anyone can do, really.
And we've had episodes on the different niches or different, what do we call them? Not niches, but the different sectors of land investing.
Yeah.
I don't remember how we phrase that, but we talked about high ticket double closing. We talked about owner financing, things like that. We've talked about subdividing. We've talked about entitlements, and over and over again, subdividing's always number one on the list.
Yep.
Just because the simplicity of it in combination with what you're already doing, if you're already in land investing and you already know how to acquire and get these, in combination with how easy it is to target them, but most importantly, the profitability. The simplicity and the profitability. Entitlements are the most profitable, but they're also the longest. They're 18, 20, they can be years to getting your money, which is great. Subdivides, you can get a month. You're talking months here getting your money, so that's why we've always loved it.
Yeah, it's powerful for sure. And there's still so much opportunity. And the great thing about subdividing is, like, some people are making a ton of money subdividing 10 acres into 3-acre parcels. Some people are doing bigger parcels. There's just so much big land out there when you're talking about rural America. And yeah, there's just, I don't want to say infinite opportunity, but there's just so much opportunity right now, especially with all the tools, the software's targeting these easier. But first step, Dan, we're talking about the 5 steps today, guys. We're going to go into as much detail on each of them as possible. First step is you need to choose an area, essentially, like what county, what city, what area, zip code do I want to target? Where do I want to do subdivides? So let's talk about that. Is there a specific location that we're looking for, Dan? And we can talk about terrain. We can talk about legal stuff. We can talk about just locality. Like, is there an advantage to being normal, or close to you? But is there anything that jumps out on to you as far as selecting an area?
Doesn't need to be local to you, but we have been talking more and more like who's going to stand out in land investing, and we've talked a lot about localization in general for your business. It doesn't need to be I live in Cincinnati, I'm targeting Cincinnati. It can be I live in Cincinnati, I really want to specialize in Southeast Georgia. Stuff like that, like localization, getting a brand, getting a presence there, getting known there. There's a lot of advantages, especially when you start talking about things like this, and then you're going to stand out more. You're going to know what you can pay. You're going to know the market better. You're going to know your realtors. There is something, surveyor, everything. And when I think of these specialty niches like subdividing, even though it's very simple and you don't need to be localized, it's not a bad idea to have some markets where you've really specialized in, especially for something like this. That being said, you can do it anywhere. You absolutely can. Do you remember where our first subdivide was?
Mississippi.
In Mississippi, our first subdivide, and we've done our most deals in Georgia. So we weren't that knowledgeable in that area at the time, correct?
Yep.
We actually kind of went in. I don't want to say blind. We knew there was good margin in it, and we ended up doing very well on it. If it's the same property I'm thinking of, but in general, when choosing a market, let's just give them some take-home things.
Practicality. Let's be practical with this.
Correct.
I still think we focused on 2 to 3 counties outside of main metro areas. So that's what we talk about a lot. County selection doesn't change that much in terms of like areas. There are more steps though. in terms of like, okay, we chose like, here's 4 or 5 counties that I really like. Your next 2 steps, and we've talked so much about county selection
Yes. And
in the
go back to
past.
videos in county selection just to give a
Watch this
10,000
first.
foot view though of what they're doing, and then also go back if you guys want to know. We've done many county selection episodes.
So yeah, you go through the county selection. You have 4 or 5 area counties that you like. Essentially, the 2 things you need to do from there is number 1, you want to make sure that price makes sense. That first off, before we do that, actually, probably legalities first. So you're going to literally type into Google Hamilton County, Ohio, minor subdivide regulations. And you want to figure out like, okay, what can you do as a minor subdivide? What can't? Some areas are like, you need to do all this stuff just to subdivide. Don't go to those areas. Other areas are very lenient. You want to go to more lenient counties for this. Maybe they say you can subdivide as many times as you want, as long as you keep the acreage over 5 acres. But you want to figure out what the restrictions are on minor subdividing. And what I kind of define minor subdividing as is if you only need a survey. Like, okay, if I do all these things, check all these boxes that you're saying, all I need is a survey, then everything's going to get approved. You don't have to go in front of a town hall or go talk to a bunch of people or get permits or do something with the road. Like it is like, okay, minor subdivide, the way I like to define it is all it needs is a survey. Then you have your lots. You follow whatever they say. Don't go under 5 acres. You follow what they say, and then it's going to get automatically approved pretty much if you get a survey.
Yeah, I agree. But before doing that, you go through your county selection, right? You're doing the same things we normally look at. You're looking at your sell-through rate. You want to make sure parcels are selling, right? You list a parcel, how many of them are selling in 12 months. You want to look at your days on market. You want it under 100 days on market in general. The lower it is, the faster it's selling. But you don't need the fastest market out there to make this business model work at all. Absorption rate you can look at. How's the absorption rate in the market? And then you can look at how many parcels of vacant land are in the market. So those are basic things I just want to retouch on. But the thing I do before actually looking at the restrictions is the spread. The spread between, this is like, because you don't want to call them if the county's not going to work. You want to do all your due diligence, then make the calls, and then look at the subdividing regulations, I think, because you can find this out very quickly with land portals, market research now. You can look at the spread between, or the median price between 5 acres, let's say, because what happens is you get a piece of property, why this works, you get 50 acres, let's say, and you split 50 acres down into 10 5-acre parcels. And the price per acre goes from $4,000 to when you bought it for $50,000, right? So it's a $200,000 property, and then all of a sudden it goes to like $8,000 when you're looking at 5 acres, right? So $40,000 for 5 acres, $200,000 you can buy for 50 acres, right? You want to make sure that spread is there so that when you're breaking it down and chopping it up, you're getting the return you're looking for, or else the subdivide doesn't make sense. If you're to subdivide 50 acres to 10 5-acre parcels and still get, what I say, $4,000 an acre, that wouldn't make sense because you're not improving it. You are, but you're not getting the return on the improvement that you're doing. You want to improve land that you're going to get the return on. And to get the return, you just want to make sure you're looking at the spread between 50-acre, what's a 50-acre parcel look like, and what's it worth price per acre, and what's a 5-acre. And that way, you know, when you split it down, you're getting more money because there are very hot markets out there, and there's some markets where the spread's not that big and you want to avoid.
Yes. I'm going to explain it a different way. I think you did a good job there. So, yeah. So, essentially, that step is basically confirming that it works for subdividing. You want 50 acres. Let's just say 50 acres. You want there to be a decent spread in price per acre from 50 acres down to like 5 acres. You want 5 acres to be going for a good amount more. I would think at least 50 to 60% more. You can find areas where 5 acres goes for double price per acre
Even
as
more,
50 acres for sure.
Yeah.
So like aiming for double is amazing. If you're double, and it makes it such a scalable strategy for sure, but you definitely need the price to make sense.
Yeah.
Don't go to areas where 50 acres is selling for $10,000 an acre and 5 acres is selling for $10,000 an acre. It's not going to work. So you want those to be different because there's no value add. If you cut it up 50 acres,
you're wasting your money and
5,
time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You might as well just sell the 50 acres. If that was the case and I had 20 different lots, 5 acres, and the price per acre or if I had 20 different 5-acre lots and the price per acre was the same between 5 acres and 50 acres, it would make more sense to combine all the lots and sell them as one, right? That logic
Yeah,
is
yeah.
just, you know what I mean?
So step one, guys, just step one, do your county selection. We talked about that so much in the past. Look at the prices, make sure the prices work out, find out the regulations.
Yeah.
Going on to step two, Dan, this is getting your data, getting your property records. Like, how do you get a list of parcels that fit for a subdivide? And first, let's talk about what does a subdividable parcel look like? Not just acreage. Like, yeah, we can talk about 20 plus acres, but what are the other features, Dan, that a subdividable parcel has?
A lot of road frontage.
Yep.
That's
That's number one.
Yeah, road frontage is number one by far, right?
Yep.
And then just the other basic stuff like you're doing with normal land. You don't want it to be too wet because or else you're going to have some of your parcels are going to be, if you're splitting 5 acres into 10, 50, if you're splitting 50 acres into 10 5-acre parcels and you have 25% of your land of your 50 acres wet, some of those 5 acres are going to be completely flooded. So you want to make sure you don't have that much wetlands, not that much FEMA or flood zones in general. You want to make sure the slope's not too bad, things like that. Main thing's road frontage though, because you want to split it up on the road. That's how this gets really easy, guys. And I don't know if we touched on this yet, but when you start having to put roads in, even if it's a dirt minor subdivision road straight through it and you're clearing out areas, it gets a little more complex, right? More work, more money, more investment out there. When you have a lot of road frontage, double-sided, right? But 2 sides of the property have road frontage. Yep. Or just a lot in general. You just split it up like pizza, guys, and you're just chopping it up on the road.
I think you make it simple right now. Landportal.com is where you can build your list. You can literally go like, okay, I chose Macon County, Georgia. Macon County, Georgia, go 20 to 100 acres and go minimum road frontage 1,000. You can look at them and see if like you need to make some adjustments there, but that is a good starting point where you're going to get big acre parcels with good road frontage. I think starting there, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Overcomplicating it is going to change your property record volume too much.
Right.
So choose a county, landportal.com, 20 acres to 100 acres, 1,000 feet of road frontage minimum. I think that's a really good starting point. Different counties can obviously call for different things. You could go down to 10 acres for sure in some areas, but that's definitely a good starting point. I don't think we have to get that much more complicated than that.
Yeah, let's not get too deep into it. I feel like we're already deep enough. All right, so we have picking a market. The next thing we have, Ron, we have our market. We have to build our list.
You just talked about.
Oh, so that's building the list.
That's building the list.
Did we say that was step 2?
Yep, I said that was step 2. I introduced that.
All right, so we have location, building a list, and then we have targeting.
Number 3 is reaching out. So you chose an area, you have a list of property owners in the area where they fit for a minor subdivide, and now you got to reach out to them. How do you want to do that? What do you suggest for doing that for this? You can pick up the phone and dial.
Yeah.
You can get there. You could text them. You could send direct mail. Those are really your 3 options.
I mean, guys, these are 6-figure profit deals potentials here. You do with this improvement in subdivides, like cold calling works, texting works, get them on the phone, treat them like it's 6-figure profit. Like that's what these deals are. Think of how how can you cater to someone, I guess, when you're talking this big of spread? Like, what do you think the best steps are?
I like calling for this, and we can talk to people in this episode, talk to people who don't have a huge budget for this business, and like you can do all this stuff. All the steps we're talking about cost $100 so far or so to get your list, to get a subscription Landport, everything like that. Like we're not talking about you need $10,000 to get one of these.
Yeah, and you get deal funding. Well,
deals.
you get the deal funding. You don't pay for these deals yourself, which we really didn't address in this list.
That's
here.
acquisition we can talk about.
Oh, we'll talk about that a little.
Yeah, I don't like if you have a bigger budget, direct mail works really well for these. Texting is okay, but I really, really like cold calling for these, to be 100% honest. Whether you have an in-person salesperson, whether you're picking up the phone every night and calling 10, it doesn't have to be. And for people who are trying to get their first deal or like trying to do it with a 9 to 5, like call 10, 20
direct
people a day.
Direct mail is my favorite, though.
Yeah, if you have a budget for direct mail is going to work really
for
well.
subdivides.
For sure.
Because, guys, all of it does. Because what's going to happen, texting will work well, too. So the reason behind this is you're going to get a lot of leads because you can offer literally 80, 90% of market value because you're taking it, you're improving it, and you're getting more money on the back end. So it doesn't matter. We're not buying all of a sudden for 45%, selling for 100%.
Mm-hmm.
We can buy at 80, 90% of market value, do the improvements, do the subdivides, and we sell for a great return still with paying that much.
Yep.
So you don't need, so realistically, you won't need as many leads to close a deal because you can pay market value. You just need to make sure all that you need them to be is, are you willing to sell your property at market value at that point?
Yep.
That's the motivation you need.
Yeah. The marketing stuff, guys. So when you pull your list, like you can get the phone numbers on your list when you're pulling, you're going to have mailing address, everything like that. And there's so many different strategies, and you got to test things too. Like, okay, what do you think's going to work? Maybe we have some phone calls. If your guys are experienced and like trying to just do like direct mail is a really, really good option for it. But there isn't really a wrong way that I don't have an opinion for a wrong way of reaching out to these type of sellers because you can pay so much, like you said. If you're reaching out to the right people in the right counties, like you're going to make deals happen if you're doing it consistently.
All right, what's next step?
So you reach out to people, chose a county, build a list, reached out to people, which is the marketing. Now 4 is you're buying properties. And Dan was saying as we were getting ready for this episode, Dan was like, there's a lot of stuff that goes under acquisition. This is step number 4, acquisition. There's a lot of steps that go under this, Dan, and we're talking about negotiating with sellers. So you reached out to them.
You're closing the deal.
Negotiating with sellers, doing due diligence, potentially getting a survey before. Deal funding. There's a lot that goes under this step, guys, and we're not going to get into detail and everything else on every single part.
But it's everything to actually buying the property.
What'd you say?
It's everything up to like you actually owning the property.
Correct. Everything between
marketing and owning the property. Which is a lot. So it goes through, but it makes sense that it's under acquisition. So you have to negotiate with the seller and get the deal under contract, right? First step. After that, you do your due diligence. You're lining up deal funding. You're getting the surveys.
Decide how you want to split it too is a big one.
Yeah, you're planning for what you're actually doing. Yeah, absolutely.
And I kind of want to keep this under one step, guys, because if we broke it up into 5 different steps, like it's going to sound more confusing than it is.
It's really
Once
not
you
that
do
bad,
this one time, it's going to be a little stress. Like the first time is going to be a little more time consuming for sure. You're going to learn a lot. But once you do this 1 time, 2 times, like it is not a hard process. You just learn strategies. You learn how to optimize, be more efficient with how you're talking to sellers. But yeah, this is negotiating, due diligence. We're trying to figure out what we can sell the property for. So as you're negotiating, you're like, okay, this seller wants $120,000. If I split it this way, I can get 180. Maybe I can split this a couple more times and get 240, 250. Talking to deal funders, you do not need to pay for a dime on this property. Deal funders absolutely love funding subdivides.
Yeah.
There's less, I think there's less risk because like they get their money back fast. They get their money back every time. They get part of their money back every time something
It's so profitable too.
Yeah. I love funding subdivides.
Yeah, it's great.
We just funded one last week or 2 weeks ago. It's we already have a property under contract on one of the 4 sales. I think it was 19 acres. We split into 5 or 6 parcels. But subdivides. Funders love subdivides. There's a lot that goes into this step, guys.
You want to plan how you're splitting it, like Ron said. So you get a little drawing on Land Portal. You can use the polygon tools. You're splitting it up, right? You can screenshot that and send it to a surveyor. But that's what you're doing. You want to get the most bank for that property. So you want to see like, oh, does it make sense? Do I have enough road frontage to get it down to 3 acre property here? You want to just make sure the whole thing makes sense on paper. That they need to all have road frontage. You don't want them all to be very sloped. Like you don't want one parcel to be an awful parcel. So make sure, put your filters on when you're doing it. Make sure some have flat land, buildable area, not completely in a flood zone, not too sloped, all of that type of stuff you want to look at when you're splitting it.
For sure.
And then once you finalize that, and use people, guys, don't do this alone. Like send it to people, send it to other land investors. They love looking at subdivide deals like this. Just get their opinion on, hey, what do you think of this split? Use your friends and resources that you have. It's not hard, and just adjust. Once you finalize that part, you take it. So you already negotiated, you're under contract, you finalize the splits that you want. You take that and you'll send that to a surveyor. And you want to get quotes on a survey out there, how long it's going to take and how much money it's going to cost, right? Mm-hmm. Anything else on that part?
For a survey?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Then after the survey, at what point it's when you send to the survey, it's already in title, correct?
Correct.
What point do you send it to title at? Right after you get it under contract?
get under contract, you did some of the legal due diligence, like making sure it's not like nothing crazy is going on. Like it doesn't have, you can't subdivide it any further for some other reason. Like if something's in an HOA or something's already in a subdivision, you might not be able to subdivide it further. So just doing all your due diligence, which isn't that much different than a normal parcel.
Got it. Okay.
Then you send it there.
And you send it there. And while this is all happening on the earlier than later, you want to secure deal funding. So, like Ron said, send it to deal funders, get approval for it, make sure they're good on board. You present it, send it to multiple people so you get someone. It should be pretty easy if you have a good deal. Not going to talk too much about that one. Anything to add to acquisitions?
I don't think so.
After acquisitions, we got to sell?
Yeah, real fast, guys. If you guys want to learn how to do this more, we do one-on-one coaching with this stuff. We helped a lot of people get their first subdivide. We put a link in the description for a consultation below if you guys want to learn about our one-on-one coaching program, everything like that.
For subdivisions.
Yeah, for subdivisions in particular, we have coaches that do an amazing job. Yeah, schedule a call below if you guys are interested in that. But number five is selling, Dan. Like disposition. We chose an area.
Is this the last step?
Correct. Number 5. We chose an area. We built a list. We marketed it. We reached out to those owners. We acquired, and now we're selling. So now you have 5, 7 parcels. I just want to touch on the keys. Like it's not that much difference than selling one parcel.
This is really the same.
One of the things that you see, if you go in Zillow in certain areas of rural America, anywhere really, you can see this. Do not list 7 parcels that are all the same acreage at the same time. It's insane that realtors do this. You're literally creating competition for yourself. So you'll see on the MLS or something like, okay, this has a 5.1 acre parcel, 5.2 acre parcel, 5 acre parcel, and all of these are listed at the same exact time. If you have a 3 acre parcel and a 10 acre parcel, list both of them, obviously. But if you split 50 acres into 5 10-acre parcels, do not list all the 10-acre parcels.
Right.
You can always say in the
market.
Yes, you can always say in the description other parcels available as well. That's the biggest key.
And you can put, a lot of people put the survey as like the last picture. It's ugly, so don't put it as the first picture, right? Have your beautiful drone photos, all that stuff. And then as the last picture, put the survey, a picture of the whole survey so they can see, oh, here's lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which one do I want?
Yep.
Or you could buy multiple, right? Then they can all of a sudden say, I want 210. I want 20 acres. Can I buy these 210? Of course, take them both. I'd love to sell you both of them.
This is not an overly complicated step. I don't want to make it overly complicated. List it everywhere. MLS, land.com, Facebook.
Yeah.
It's just like selling.
Everyone always asks, where do I list the properties? Well, how many eyes do you want to get on it? Do you want less eyes or more eyes? More eyes, of course. So you want to list, the more places you list it, the better. Facebook Marketplace is great for these properties, especially under 50,000. It's free. It's free leads.
No reason not to list.
People complain about them getting bad disquality. Yeah, tire kickers. Yeah, well, it's also free, and we have sold a lot of properties on Marketplace, right? I've rented property. Every Marketplace is great. So list it everywhere. Get the more eyes, the better.
Any other keys? The only other thing I can think about, Dan, that we can talk about is like, let's just say that situation where you break it up in the same amount of parcel or the same acreage size. Like, should we list cheaper the first property to get one property moved? Or like, is it just maybe the deal funding situation where that is?
No.
Like choosing but you got to realize that first parcel you sell, guys, is a comp for the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth parcel.
Yeah, they're going to look at that.
They're going to look like, no, you guys just sold this for this. I'm not paying more than this. This is what the market is. You sold that for 40,000. Why are you trying to charge me 45? And you can push back on that, obviously. But that being said, like, you are setting the market with your first sale.
Yes, you are. So don't undercut it. Don't get one. What you do need to do to avoid...
Don't overprice it too much.
Don't overprice it. But what you do need to do to avoid getting in a pinch is get longer deal funding contracts.
Correct. At least a year.
Do not go 6 months. You will sell 2 properties. They get their money back. Then they get the whole property back. You need a year for deal funding is pretty standard for this type of deal. They're getting good returns. You're going to get them so they're going to get their money back really quickly, like Ron said, because you list, I don't know, did you explain the concept of why they get their money back quickly? You list 10 properties right away. The survey's already done by the time you bought it, let's say. That's what you want, by the way. You list 10 properties the moment it hits, right? So you have 10 properties for sale. 2 of them sell within the first month or first 2 weeks, let's say. That covers 75, so let's just say that covers 75% of the acquisitions from 2, or 50, 60%. And then another one sells. And then they're paid back, right? Very quickly, like as much as a normal property. And then after that, it's just, topping.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, don't overprice, don't underprice when you're first listing. That's a good point in terms of deal funding. I don't have anything else to add though, guys. It is not. We wanted to keep this conversation, these steps, relatively simple because it isn't that complicated. This is not an entitlement, guys. This is not a major subdivide where you're putting in roads, like you're talking to fire departments, you're making sure the road, like it is not that complicated. Any person listening to this, watching this, can do a subdivide.
Absolutely. I don't have anything else.
Other than that, guys, hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, put this on your Instagram story, share this with a friend. It really, really helps. Other than that, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.